let me get some names that you guys really like this year. Some players that you're maybe higher on than consensus, or that you find yourself drafting a lot. If I was going to ask you, who are your guys this year, Dave, who would you go with at running back?
I think one of them is Tony Pollard, just because he's got this golden opportunity to lead the Cowboys run game. That includes near the goal line. Zeke's no longer there. Zeke had 12 touchdowns last year. So theoretically, that number's up for grabs. I don't think Pollard gets all those touchdowns. He might not even get half of them. But this dude was awesome last season, averaged over 15 points per game. And now he's going to get more touchdowns and maybe more work from game to game. Explosive player, good in the passing game. I think he's worth a mid to late first-round pick in PPR, and definitely a first-round pick in non.
And Pollard's going in the second round. Dave, how about like a mid-round guy that you find yourself drafting a lot? How about you guys can each give me an early and a mid? Dave, what do you got?
I know. So I mentioned that there aren't a lot of running backs that make you go ew / over. There it is. James Conner is one of those guys because volume running back. He's been good, but he's on such an ugly offense, and he makes me nervous. And yet I gravitate toward him because there are so many other running backs that don't even have a profile as good as he's got. So I know his ADP is like in the 60s right now. I'll take him before then. I think he's at least a round 5 guy, maybe even late round 4. Don't love it. But there are so many running backs that look like Connor, where it's just you're hoping he gets the volume. But Connor has gotten the volume in the past, and he's succeeded. He's even succeeded last year without Kyler Murray on the field in tough matchups. So I just think that he's got a good chance to give you some good numbers and certainly good value if you're getting him in round 5 or later.
All right, I'm going to go to Heath next, but I'm going to say this about Connor. I think we all identified Connor early in the process as a guy that was kind of a sleeper. He was going, I think, in round 7 months ago. He's moved up a little bit. But now, as I look at several different websites and their ADP, Connor still looks like a great value going in round 6. He's got basically the same ADP as Alexander Madison, who I think in our mind is more like a round 4 pick. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if ADP is true, then Connor might be a great value, but so is Alexander Madison, 2 guys that that we're going to identify. And again, if you disagree with me, please. But if they're both going in the 60s, that's just really good for Connor and Madison. Heath, how about an early guy and a mid-round guy that you like?
Yeah, I was definitely going to say Connor because he's in the 70s in terms of NFC over the last 2 weeks. I'll go with in mid to late round 2. I'm still on the Josh Jacobs train. I'm probably a little more concerned about Taylor right now than I am Jacobs, just because there's this mystery injury surrounding Taylor as well. If you go to the mid rounds or round 4 range, I'll say Miles Sanders, and then I'll add one more who's right behind James Conner in ADP right now at 78 on NFC, and that's David Montgomery.
Okay, so that's from Dave, James Conner, and Tony Pollard. From Heath, another James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. Jamie, how about you? Some players that you send to draft a lot or are higher on than consensus?
Probably Ramondre. You know, I'm really excited about the situation for him, building off what he did last year. That's assuming there's no, I guess at this point, Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette signing. But I think those guys would not necessarily scare me off dramatically. You know, it would be a hindrance. But you know, we saw what these guys look like at certain points last year, and coming to a new team, I think it would still be a good scenario for Ramondre. So I would happily take him at the back end of round 2. A mid-round guy, is that the next category?
Doesn't really matter.
I'm still very much excited about J.K. Dobbins, and you know Heath alluded to this with Taylor with the mystery injury. I think it's the same scenario for both these guys. Taylor and Dobbins and Jacobs. They're contract related. So once they get on the field, I think you'll be happy with their production. For Dobbins, 2 years removed from his ACL tear, what you're hearing about what they're doing with the running backs in the passing game, I think that's going to really benefit him. This offense is going to be, I think, better certainly than what we've seen the last couple of seasons, mostly because Lamar Jackson's healthy. But I do like the setup for Dobbins, especially the fact that you said that the only guy that they brought in was Melvin Gordon. That's a pretty big boost for, I think, where he's going to end up, you know, finishing this year if he stays healthy. So very excited to draft him, and he continues to fall because of the scenario that he's not practicing right now.